Welcome back guys, how's it going? In this video we'll continue to build our application's Facemash. Now in the last video we set up our application and brought this application to this home page, which gives us a chance to play the game, check stats and upload images and invite our friends. Now none of these buttons actually work right now. It's just the look of the website. We managed to bring it to this stage. Now is the time to start building our controllers, models, and write some database migrations. Before that, so I've made a couple of changes based on the feedback I received from the channel. So let's take a look at the comments. So one of the subscribers, Tariq Sajid, has given us this feedback that he would like us to make some videos on Laravel and AngularJS, and of course we'll do that. Another thing is he prefers if we use light color schemes, so it gets really difficult to see the code. Another gentleman, Lucifer Morningstar, has said a great tutorial. Well, thank you. And he wants us to use the font a little bit bigger. It's just too small. Maybe he is using a little bit smaller screen, so a bit hard to read. Thanks for the feedback, guys. And I have made a couple of changes. So I have switched my editor to Sublime Text. I'll be using a light theme, and I've increased the font size. So for example, if we open the, let's just say routes.php, so it's going to look like this. It's a little bit bigger than the usual. It's 16 pixel font size, and what happened was that I used a 27-inch screen, and I can easily see even 11 pixel font size, but I understand you guys might be using a mobile or might be using an iPad or something like that. So I'll be using this theme. I created this theme myself. If you don't like the colors, let me know. Another theme I like, another theme is Material, which is used by Facebook and Google. So if you want, I can use Facebook Material theme, which is actually dark and light and standard. If I use the standard one, it looks like this. You can still read everything pretty good, but it's a bit dark. So in a mobile phone might not look that nice. But if I try to use the lighter one, that's just too light. I can't see anything. So I decided to download another one called GitHub. This is a pretty good theme. I can easily see everything. And if I try to open, let's say one of the models, user model, and I can see everything here. But it's very basic. The colors I cannot differentiate. It's a class or it's a class name. It's a keyword or a class name or it's an inherited class. I wanted to differentiate all those things, so I created another theme myself, and I just called it Simply Blue. If you want this theme, just post some comments and I'll share this theme with you guys. I love this theme, and if I open my user.php, this is how it looks like. I can easily see that this is a keyword, and sorry, this is the keyword, and this is the inherited class, which is extended, so it's italicized. These are the variables, and these are the strings, and these are my the keywords, and this is the class declaration. So all the class names are like this, all the namespaces are like this, a bit more variable. But anyway, if you like, you can just post some comments. I'll give you the link to this theme in the GitHub. Anyway, just let me know if you like this theme. We'll continue to build in this theme. Otherwise, we'll find something else. I just want to know whether this change, which I moved to Sublime Text and using this theme, helps my viewers. Thanks for the feedback. Let's continue. So the very first thing we're going to do is create a route. So we have a route here. So let's create another route called images. And we're going to need images controller, so we're going to call images controller, and let's just register this as a resourceful route for now. Let's just register as a resourceful for now, because essentially what we're trying to do is we won't be deleting any images. We don't need those methods, but the quick routing, if you want to register quickly, you can register this way, Another controller we need is game controller. So There are some of the methods we don't need, but some of them we do need. So I'm just going to call it game controller, which listens to the game route. Just call it game controller, and I'm going to change the name from images to image controller. And another route we need, let's also do, while we are here, a route model binding. We'll be binding our model, which is basically will be binding to images key, and like so. Now this will bind our image model to my typing always is too, because I'm trying to do two things at a time. I'm trying to explain to you as well as type, so something goes wrong. So we have done the route model binding. So when we basically click on an image, the image data will be passed on to that route, which will be used by the controller in turn. So by doing this, it makes it a lot easier. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and create some controllers. And after we have controllers, we also need models and we need databases. So let's open up our terminal and let's cd into my code folder. Let's go inside the app, and here I'm going to create a controller called image controller. Also, I'm going to create a game controller, and I'm going to create a model called game. I'm going to need a model game, so it'll create a games table. That's okay. That's a good thing actually. And I'm also going to need a model called image, and that's going to create an images table for me. It'll just give it a bit of a boilerplate to start with. That's all we need to do in our terminal. And now let's go back to the editor and here save this file, and then we'll go back to, let's just say, where should we start? Let's start with database migrations first. So let's just go back to create games table. That's the easiest one. Let's create that one. So we're going to need two fields here. It's going to be basically, we can say what we're going to call it. Let's call it integer, or we can call it big integer. By doing so, we're giving a big number to be able to store in the games, just in case if you have like 1 million images, you know. So I mean, you're gonna have to use cache for that, but just in case. And let's just change this name to winner. We're gonna have a winner and a loser. So big integer. So I'm going to use a big integer winner, and it has to be unsigned. Now there are a couple of different ways. You can use a foreign key big integer, which references ID on the image, but I'm just going to avoid that for now. I'm just going to prepare a prototype rapidly, and then I'm going to copy this again, get rid of this another, and call it loser. And that's it. That's it for the table. So I've got an ID and I've got big integer winner, loser, both are unsigned and timestamps, and that's it. That's for this one. Let's copy this whole thing, because the next thing we want to do is go to images. Here we'll paste this one in just to save us some time and some typing. And then next thing we want to do is, so what kind of information we would like to store in the images table? I mean, realistically, let's just say I would like to have a title, although at the moment we are not looking in that title, but just in case in the future we want to expand an application, we would like to give it a title, and title is nullable. That's okay if it doesn't have a title right now. What is a title basically? For example, your image is a hash, image name is a hash dot some kind of long hash, 32-bit But when you upload that image from a URL from some website, you can give a URL and you can get the contents of that file and store in the folder, and then store that the name. You want to display some kind of slug in there. You can't display the hash. You're going to display a meaningful name. So you can say image of Sarah Jessica Parker, and then even if it's a hash or something, the title will be saved properly. But that's another thing. We are not looking into that right now. We'll create that field for now. Just leave it untouched. Another thing we need really is a file name, which cannot be nullable. It has to be there. And I wanted to also have a country column, just in case if you want to create a game where all the different models from different countries can play against each other. There'll be a string, and there'll be a nullable. And then another thing I need is basically, I'm going to change it to integer. So I'm going to need basically a score, whatever score is earned when we play the game, and that can be, the default is set to 1500. Now every time we use allo algorithm, the way it works is, let's go and have a look at the allo algorithm really quickly. So let's go to allo. Although in this video we're not talking about this algorithm so much, but let's have a look. Now allo algorithm, you can go, you can have a read. It's a really long article and explains a lot of how this algorithm works and how it has evolved over the period of time, and which value, what are the constants and stuff like that. So where is that? Where is the stuff that we? So whenever the new players start, they are assigned with a rating of 1500. But of course they have a different. Some people use 1500, 1800, over 2000. I like to use base rating of 1500 because it's a trial. It's just a prototype. Even if it has some flaws, it's okay. I want to make a functional prototype. These values are abstracted from the, our logic is completely separate. We can make a quick change and it'll reflect in our application instantly without breaking our application. Then next thing we need, but we need to specify a score, otherwise it doesn't work. The algorithm doesn't work. The next thing, I'm going to get rid of this one because we'll be just making a copy of this. The next thing we need is, whenever image wins, I want to store that win here. Now what is a win? Actually, win is calculated by algorithm. Every time you click one image, that's considered as a winner, and of course the other one is automatically considered as a loser. But if it wins against certain image, and if it loses against certain image or wins against certain image, the algorithm calculates its new score, and there's a relationship. We'll find out in a minute. Basically this one is just accumulating each win, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, we'll take a look at this in a minute when we go deep inside the algorithm. So we need a column for score, wins and losses. We also need to save the rank, and all these going to be 0, 0, 0 default. We must do that, otherwise it's null. Null is not good. Initialize them, give them a value of 0, and that's it. So an image, all the images are saved on the hard disk. They are served from the disk. We just store their name. We don't store a blob or anything. Next thing, this table is done. We have a title, file name, country, score, wins, losses and rank, and that's it. So this table is done. Now we need to get into let's open up the model. So game.php. Now in this model, essentially what we're doing is game.php expects us to have a table with the name of games, but I like to explicitly define this just in case in the future I make an update to my application and certain conventions change. If it's defined explicitly, my application won't break, But yeah, anyway. and we need to specify what kind of parameters are like mass assignable. So we have only two fields basically. So we have a winner and a loser, and that's what we're going to be keeping. We need to tell Laravel that what are the dates that should be treated as carbon instances. So we're gonna say here, like, let's say remember token. We are not remembering any token, so at the moment we don't need that. Now here we're gonna be defining our algorithm. Let's say we're gonna say here expected, let's say expectation, or let's say expected. I'm gonna talk about this algorithm in the next video, but here is what we will specify our algorithm. Let's copy that, and it's going to calculate the expectation, the expected score based upon the current score and the whether it's a winning what's the winning score, what's the losing score, stuff like that. And it's going to return us the win first, and also it's going to return on us the loss, and also we're going to calculate the rank, but we will come back to this. So win is, because we're not comparing every image to every single image in our database, we will be comparing randomly against each other. If one image has lost against a second image and second image has lost against the third one, that means the first one has also lost against the third one. But then in a certain scenario where first one has won against some other image and third one has lost, that means the first one image could be better than the third one. It's just some kind of expectation and some kind of probability. We'll take a look in the next video. The whole video will be dedicated to the algorithm, but that's something a basic structure is going to look like. We're going to define the mass assignable fields. We're going to declare our table name explicitly, and these are going to be our algorithm logics, which we'll call statically on a game model, and that's it. Let's go to our image model. And our image model, we can pretty much copy and paste few things from the game model. Like for example, at least we can copy protected table and the mass assignable fields, and we can come back here. So let's just call it images, and here we're gonna say title. Although it's nullable, we're gonna give it a mass assignable, and then we have file name, then we have country, basically all the fields we have, and we have score, wins, losses, and rank. Now, although score, win, loss, and rank is not really coming from the user input, so we don't need to specify those fields because we can calculate on our backend. If you look at our database table here, so we have title, file name, and country. That's all we need. The form is going to, when we submit the form, when we click an image, it's submitting the form. All we need is the basically but we'll be updating these values. So let's just specify for now, but in the future maybe we will take a look at removing them. Even I'm not sure whether we can still work if we don't mass assign them, but I think we have to do that. Okay, keeping it as a good practice, mention all the table columns you'll be working with in your model, because then your model can access it in a layman's term. But I really want to see if we are running an algorithm, all we need is an ID, because we are not really updating these values, we're just updating these values. All we need is an ID. Once we have an ID, we can calculate based upon the previous wins and losses. We can calculate new wins and losses, and we can update ourselves. We'll have a look whether we remove them still works or not. I'll come back to that in a later video. I'll make a note of this. Done. Now another thing what we want to do now is we're going to migrate our this whole thing, and it says not such file or directory, which I run into this issue a lot of different times. All we have to do is go here and change this to this, and now it should understand what I'm talking about, and it does understand. So let's open up SQL Pro and see how our database looks like. It's not going to look any different than what we have already constructed, but it's always good to make sure before we get any surprises. So I'm just going to connect to my homestead, and I'm going to go to Facemash 2016. So I've got a games with a winner and loser. I've got images with title, file name, country, score, wins, losses, rank, created and update. That's all good, and it's all good. So in this video we created our models, we created our database migrations, and we updated the model definition, we updated the database schema definitions, and we migrated them. In the next video we'll begin expanding our images controller. We'll write the script which will upload the images into the database. Once we have the images, we'll create the views for the game controller, the home views. So once we have the images, we can actually start pulling in those images randomly and start displaying on the game view, so we can actually capture some of the clicks, and then we'll work on the algorithm to rank the images better. Once we can get the input from the form working to our database, then we can start working on our algorithm. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know whether you like this theme and it's readable, and make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a good night.